Not obsessing over user flows, you can find me hunting for a perfect slice of pizza. I do have few great recommendations for you. And when I'm not searching for pizza, I'm always getting bullied by my black cat, Tufan, who, like his name, is a menace at our house. And you can see a clip of me working at my job, my daily job. So I work at Adverb, which is a robotic and innovation company. So we make robots, conveyors, humanoid robots, and robot dogs, and all these things. So yeah, let's get started. So can I have a show of hands? How many people here has read a LinkedIn post over 500 words? Okay. 60-70% of people. Now, if I change the context, and who here has read a LinkedIn post over 500 words but after 3 a.m.? Okay, 1, 2, 3. I like your spirit. Okay. Now, another context, different change of scenario. Who here has seen a funny meme or video after 3 a.m.? Again, 80% people. So my question to you is, what changed?
Attention span.
Okay. I hope you'll be able to answer this question by the end of this talk. To start with the presentation, to start with the talk, I want you to take you inside a warehouse, how it actually looks like, the feels, looks, and the working of a warehouse. So to start with, I want you to tell you a story of my friend. So, few months back, one of my friend, Ira, she shifted from Jaipur to Delhi. And like every other person, she wanted to decorate her room, independence. So she went online, she started looking at few things. And I still remember she went to IKEA and, she noted down few things which really intrigued me. I have a list here. You can see the complete list: a plate, a bed sheet, a plant, and a lamp, just for her room. Which really intrigued me is what is happening behind that back end, behind the curtains of IKEA, right? I know for a fact that person who is sitting at IKEA at the receiving end might have received a receipt, and he's gonna grab a cart and maybe go on a shopping spree for Ira, right? So maybe to aisle A grab a plate, maybe to aisle B grab a bed sheet, then maybe some other aisle which is like at the end of the warehouse to grab a lamp. By the way, that's actually how a warehouse looks like. It's a huge space, acres and acres of space, where there is storage, and everything you can think of is kept there. And every company you can think of, the biggest brands has a warehouse, right? So, but that doesn't really how IKEA solves a problem. Think of the mass of the problem, right? I mean, imagine a person, who received your order, moving from aisle to aisle, grabbing your order and packing your order. That's not how it goes. IKEA receives tens and thousands of orders every day, every second actually. So how do you think they solve that problem? How do you think, they employ 10,000 of people to solve 10,000 of orders? No, they use robotics and automation. That's why Adverb designed, patented, and developed a system called GTP. Instead of one person going to each and every aisle completing orders, a system is there by which a complete set of items come to that person. To explain this better, to show you how it actually works, I have a video. This is GTP. Just like its name, goods to person. Instead of a person going to goods, goods will come to a person. Imagine Ira has ordered, 10 packets of rin. That's exactly how it comes. A big basket containing all the rins in the warehouse will come. An operator will just grab it and pack it in her order. That's it. By this method, by this means, instead of packing one order in every 20 minutes, Our operators starting packing 10 plus orders in less than 10 minutes. But we are not here to talk about the robotic part of the solution, right? We are here to talk about the human and the robot collaboration part, right? So I want you to think from an operator's perspective. What do they think? What do they do? How do they feel? So, shift happens. Chaos, confusion, and cold floors. When we start thinking from an operator's perspective, even after we provide the best and the best of solution like a GTP, which is helping them to solve a huge problem, a redundancy of going to each and every aisle and collecting their orders, why not, items come to them? But even after that, they're not working in the best of the conditions. Can you list any conditions they'll be working in? Any condition. Okay, I'll try to help you. How about heat, rain, winters, cold, autumn? These are just few environmental conditions. There's a huge list of reasons and in which operators do work in conditions like they don't have a training period like you and me. They join today and they start working. Think of your Swiggy wale bhaiya, right? They join today, they start delivering orders from today. Think of your Uber driver. Maybe they don't know English. Maybe it's not their first language, right? More than 80% of the people, the blue collar force we have in India, doesn't know English. It's not their first language. Let me make this clear for you. Then we have, they don't, they are not educated enough. They have very bad conditions of physical tech devices. They don't have the best phones like you. They don't even have maybe an iOS or Android. Maybe they are still working on that keypad phone. When you talk about industries, they are not provided with the best of the devices. They have to work in poor conditions, like there's dim lighting, low lighting, and tens and thousands of workers going here and there every moment. So these are just few physical conditions they have to tackle every day on their job. Okay, leave this apart, leave this aside. Even if the physical conditions are bad, maybe the interface we provide to them is good enough, right? Let me show you a slide. This is a common UX, a common interface that they see on their daily job. Not just a warehouse industry. Think from each and every part, vertical section of the industry. The construction workers, the people who are delivering your food, people who are delivering you, your goods, and warehouse industry, definitely. You know, right, how much big warehouse industry we have and how much of a underserved space it is. And these kinds of workers have to deal with this kind of UI, these kinds of interfaces. Anything you notice in this that is bad? Anything? Okay, too many elements. Okay, and lot of colors, lot of information, some picture, some red, some blue, some gray. Right? Now try to connect how bad the physical conditions were and how bad our interfaces are. So it's been noted these are the few things that are going on in their mind. Some information overload. They have so many things on their interfaces which they don't even need, which they don't even require to do their job, right? They have unfamiliar terminologies and jargons. Maybe a term like store in a cold storage is familiar to you and me. Maybe a term like pick it on the rack is familiar to you and me. Just like that first activity, those terms are not familiar to them, right? Then we again have a language barrier. We again tend to forget, we are making interfaces on our everyday basis and we use English as the first language, which is not true for them. Then we have few common UI terms like poor visual hierarchy, clustered UI, which I'm not going to even look at, right? And by the way, there is a point here, pressure to finish before handover. What does this mean? These people are working in shifts. They are being paid to do a complete a task on their daily basis, a set of series of tasks or a physical instructions they have to follow to get paid. That's why there is always a pressure to finish before handover. For example, I completed a task in my warehouse system. I completed I picked or packed 10 plus orders. Once my shift is going to end, I have to tell the next person what exactly did I do, how I did that, which systems I used, which tasks I complete, right? So there's always a pressure before handover. But again, as we think and we say, where there's a will, there is a way. Whatever problem or whatever statements we throw at them, they tend to find a solution. A solution as simple as हमका याद नहीं रहता कहाँ जाता है सब, इतना टाइम नहीं होता, बस कहाँ क्लिक करना है वो याद कर लेते हैं. What does this mean? They just remember where to click. That's it. It's as simple as that. Whatever gets their work done for that day. If they know where to click, doesn't matter what it's written. If it's wrong instruction or wrong English or maybe some different color, they don't even care. All they care is if I click these 3 buttons during my task, I'll complete it, I'll get paid for it, right? So to move further, to clarify my theory, to clarify my research, if I have done it good, if I have, understand them better, I conducted an internal case study, which is called 3 a.m. theory, where mistakes peak. So in this theory, like its name, it's very simple. It's 3 a.m. That means it starts at 3 a.m. and people makes mistake in it. So let me paint you a scenario. So this is one of our workers, one of our colleagues who is working at the biggest FMCG industry in India, from southern part of India. Her task is to pick things and pack it, just like I have shown you before, right? So when we meet few conditions, like it's 3 a.m., it's 3 hours left for their shift, when they are exhausted and frustrated, and when they are worried about their wages, and they have a pressure to finish there before handover. So whenever these few conditions mix and match, they tend to make more mistakes. I'll show you with an example. So imagine you are standing in front of her. You are standing in place of her actually. And you're holding a tablet in your hand, and a 60 lakh robot stands in front of you with all the red lights going on. What would you do? What would you do on this tablet? Exit, okay. What else? What would you do? It's 3 a.m., you're exhausted and frustrated. You are thinking about your wages, how much you're going to pay. Maybe you have not done very good work today. Okay. Sutta break. Okay. Plug it out of power. You all made mistakes. That's what they do. When you combine some challenging and overloading interfaces with such a challenging working environmental conditions, you tend to make mistakes, which translates directly to operational losses. Millions and millions of industries are a part of this, where we handing over $1 million software to our operators to contain to handle $1 billion industry, and they are failing. Whose fault is it? Ours? Environment? Their mental state? Everything. So now let's move on. Let's see our season 4 episode 12. Just to give you a recap, a backup, whatever we have discussed till now. We have discussed the whats and the whys, how environmental condition, their physical state, mental state, as well as poorly designed interfaces. Are you able to see, right? Okay. How these conditions, contribute a lot to the failure of our system, to a failure of our human and robot collaboration. But the one which works. Let's try to answer how to make those systems better, how to make them more intuitive, how to make them more user friendly, right? You remember the screen, right? I just showed you this screen. You remember the wrongs and the rights in this screen? You remember the overload, information overload, the jargons we have used? Anyone know the meaning of manual PTW update? How can we expect them to know? Even we don't know, right? So, to start from the basics, to start from where we all know we start from, the user centric design, I started with three principles: make it clear, clarity of that solution, make it empathetic, make it simple. And these three solutions not only helped me to design these kinds of screens better, but also to solve more than 70% of their problems. Let me show you what I did for this. I tried to remove each and everything that you saw on that screen. Remove all the clusters or the jargons or the terminologies you can think of. Make it simplistic, clear, and have empathized with them and make the picture biggest I can on the screen. Because all they have to do is know where to pick up, what to pick up, and how much to pick up. That's all it requires. Let's say if it's not a t-shirt or a top, maybe it's a plate for Ira. We know there's a big image of plate, so that's gonna help, that's gonna be helpful. One may be there, one number denoted there, so we know, they just have to pick one plate, and it's simplistic enough, they don't have to click anywhere, right? But to make system like these, I have derived a set of 5 instructions, a 5 set of rules which I follow and which I want you to take back with you, which not only help us to make better interfaces for this underserved space, but also to make other verticals and other parts of UX industry better. Let's try to relate this not to this, maybe to a fintech industry, maybe to an edtech industry. These sets of instructions, these sets of rules will help you in the long run. The first one is jargons replaced with icons. Always try to replace all those fancy terms, shelf of the box, do something, with icons. Next is recover with a single tap. Whenever you tend to make mistakes, whenever they tend to make mistakes, try to always help them recover with a single tap. They shouldn't be scared, even if it's a 60 lakh robot in front of them. They should be able to recover with just a single tap. Next is success comes with animation. Try to think this from their perspective. It's 3 a.m. again. They are frustrated, exhausted. They have not achieved their target a lot. But even if they complete single task in their whatever is assigned to them, if they complete it successfully and properly, give them some animation, give them a success message. They have done that good. They might be happy and perform better. Failure comes with a precaution. Teach them. Teach them whatever they have clicked. Maybe it's wrong. How can they make it better? Give them a precaution with a failure. Metrics works better with gamification. We know metrics are a part of, it's a set alone kind of industry that is being set up right now. So metrics are very much included in a system to provide more transparency to these operators. Think of, an Uber driver, how many rides he has completed till now. Think of a Swiggy wale bhaiya, how many orders he has given till now. Because he's gonna paid on depending on that metrics. In warehouse industry, these metrics are used to create a challenging environment for them to compete and perform better than one another. So definitely we're gonna show them metrics. Why not show it with a gamification? Maybe, when you go back home, when you try to start a new project, try to include these things. Maybe it might work for a blue collar industry. Maybe this might work for, if you're going to make for a delivery guy, or maybe a construction worker, maybe a medical house worker, or maybe a nurse. These might work. But what about If I have to start from a very different industry which is not related altogether, maybe a DeFi system. You guys know about DeFi system? It's a part of a crypto, currency in which we are dealing right now. Maybe you have to make an AI software. How about then? Right? So to solve that kind of problem, there is another set of instructions which are derived from them. If I have to start from scratch today, I'll use these. The first one is assume zero tech literacy. This simply translates to don't assume your users know tech. Don't assume they know English. Assume zero tech literacy with them. Maybe they haven't used phone in their life. This is the first time they're using your phone. And the first time using your software. Maybe your website. Right? Feedback must teach. Always teach with your feedback. Some success, congratulate them. Some failure, teach them how they can avoid that next time. Right? Design for exhaustion. Think from their exhausted point of view. Think how will they behave, how will they interact when they're exhausted and done for the day. Right? Any example you have, or you can recall any app that has built for designed for exhaustion? There is a very great example.
Yes, maybe when we are very hungry.
Okay.
Yeah, so Instagram has a feature where we can configure to remind us that you've been working, using it for a lot.
Okay.
They've cared about that.
Okay.
Some games also gives you a warning that you've been playing for 4 hours.
Okay. But when you are super tired, for example, you are using that application at 3 o'clock in the morning, how would that application help you? How are they helping you with your exhaustion or taking care of your exhaustion? A very simple example is there which is existing in the market. It really helps you with your exhaustion. Netflix. Example, you're really tired, it's 4 a.m., you're scrolling through Netflix, you're watching a series. Have you noticed a small button, next episode loading automatically? They have designed for exhaustion. They don't want you to even click anywhere. They'll reload on their own. They'll take you to the next episode on their own. That's how you should design. Last point, universal product pattern. We as UX designers know there is a universal pattern, right? We know there is a setting icon. Android में भी वही होता है, iOS में भी वही होता है. We know if I click, there is a button called save. Same होता है, Android में भी iOS में. But why not derive a universal product pattern? Whatever product you are making, whatever thing you are making, why not have a common pattern which is just for that product, by which the user can relate to that product? I'll give you a better example for this. So I have come up with a term called follow the red. Follow the red, which simply means whenever you see a red thing on our screen or our interface, it's clickable, it's solvable, and it will help you. For example, think a robot sensor screen and all the sensors are in error. All the sensors, if they are in red, they're clickable, they're solvable, and there are instructions to help you. Think from a metric point of view. Maybe there are some sets of instructions, some errors that is going on in your metrics. You have not completed your orders today. If it's red, it's clickable, it will show you how to improve your performance today, right? So let's develop universal product patterns for us. Now, to close this talk, to close these thoughts, I wanted to share a thought with you. Our next million blue-collar users won't adapt to tech. The next, people who are gonna come, they won't adapt to our tech. We have to adapt to them. We have to make them adapt to us by making such solutions. So that's it from my side for today. We'll move on to workshop after a break. Thank you guys. Connect me on LinkedIn. I'll accept your request shortly. I'll just explain this activity first. I'll explain the workshop. Throughout the workshop, you have to be collaborative. supportive, and should talk to each other. That's the main goal, right? I'll just explain the whole workshop in a flow once. Then I'll come to each of your group and will explain you separately as well, right? So the activity is called inclusive redesign of a robotic remote controller. How many of you here have used or seen a remote control car in their life? Okay, most of you, right? So now we're gonna redesign a remote control robot. Remember that 60 lakh robot who was standing in front of you? You'll be redoing that UI. So the goal of each group is to redesign a robotic remote controller so that a specific type of warehouse worker can use it effectively. For example, I'll be giving each group some different kind of users. Just for example, maybe this group will be designing for a user who has just joined. Maybe this group will be designing for a user who has 60 years of experience. Maybe this group will be designing for a user who is colorblind, right? So I'll be giving each group a person, a user persona, and you'll be redesigning for that. Every term, each term, I know few of you might not be familiar with user persona and design sprint. I'll come and explain to you, so don't worry about it. The aim is to apply inclusive UX principles, the principles that we learned, remember? Replace jargons, feedback must teach. You have to use those principles and apply it here, ensuring accessibility and usability. What does accessibility means? When you're designing for a particular set of users. For example, this group might be designing for a person who's colorblind, so they might have to change their thought process, think from their perspective. That's when you design for accessibility, right? And usability for the diverse user needs. In all this, don't forget that that interface will be used by other operators as well, not just your user, maybe some other group's user as well. So think from your user personas as well as the general user persona, right? I'll show you what the segregations are. So there are 8 user scenarios. I'll be dividing it into each group. First for the first, second for the second, and third for the third, and so on, right? We'll be dividing this and you will be doing a design sprint. What does design sprint means? Anyone here? Any experienced person who do design sprints in there? Yes?
Building something in a very short amount of time.
Exactly. What else?
Iterating and getting it to at least like a paper prototype stage.
Great.
Prototype layout.
Prototype layout, okay. What else?
Very focused on a specific problem.
Specific problem, okay. Wireframing. Collaboration. Okay. What else?
Documentation and features listing.
Okay, feature listing. MVP. Great. So we'll be designing a MVP, a minimum viable product. You have one A4 sheet with you, right? You'll be submitting one final A4 sheet which will look like your controller for that robot. We'll be coming here, you'll be using that screen to control a robot in front of you, right? And during this process, you should have empathize with your user, the person who is colorblind or maybe the person who has, let's say, elderly, right? You should empathize with them, should make the interface simpler, and should have clarity of your thought, should understand his needs, wants, and why do he require a different interface and not the interface I'll show you in a while, right? That's the whole activity. I'll come to each of you who has questions. You can ask me and then we'll get started. Right? Clear? 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 Okay.
Can we have like what features should be there at least?
Anything you want. You have 8 minds with you. Discuss with them whatever you want. I just want a better redesign of the screen I'll show you,
Acha.
which looks like this. I'll even explain you what it looks like, what it do. You don't have to go in details. You just have to put or place the things that are required on your A4 sheet. We'll get started. So anyone has a doubt on what a design sprint is and what you have to do? Do you all know what's your task?
Yeah.
Do you all know what you have to do? Okay, we'll start with this. Group 1, problem statement 1.
We are group.
Group 1,
Colorblind.
group 2, group 3, group 3, group 4.
Which color is not seen?
I hope you can see and you are clear with your group's goal and motive, your user, right? Let's get started. Let's brainstorm and design this better. I don't want the perfect designs from you. I just want what elements should be there, what elements can be made better, and how can I control my 60 lakh robot in front of me better. I'll give you a hint or a tip. Think from a remote control car's perspective.